It's wrong. It is so wrong. And our tax dollars and our churches and our nonprofit community and our medical community, especially those that are tied to churches. We've got Baptist hospitals in Arizona and Catholic hospitals, must avoid, and we must denounce, and we must stand against the efforts of CPS and the state to rob families of their children and put our children into this child industrial complex. It's wrong and it's evil and it must stop. I don't know about you, but I come from a state where almost 1/5 of our entire state legislature subsidizes their income by running a state chartered group home that houses our stolen children. This is wrong, and it's something that we must expose all around this country. You wonder from time to time why our legislatures and our legislative members will not do what's required to stop the abuse of our children who are in state custody, and it's because many of them are making money off of the industrial complex built around robbing our children from us.
Yes, they are.
You wonder what's stopping them. Take a look at the medicines that your children are being prescribed while they're in state custody. Take a look at the testing that's being done by the pharmaceutical companies and special interests. They're experimenting on our children who are in state custody. Is that wrong?
It's wrong.
Is that wrong?
It's wrong.
Is that wrong? If that is wrong, we have to go back to our communities when we leave here this morning. We have to go back more inspired than ever, more committed than ever to take our children out of the slavery that the state has put them into.
Right.
And it's not just happening to our kids. I was talking to someone just the other day. Every population that's in state custody is experiencing abuse, whether it's the elderly, the severely mentally ill, people who have physical disabilities, anyone who is in the care, sadly, of government and government contractors is suffering all kinds of abuses all around this country. But I believe that if we stand together, and if we fight together, and if we vote together, and if we make public policy impacts together by standing together in public spaces and forums like this, we can make a difference. I say I don't know how we can make America great again until we make the family great again. How can the family be great again, I ask my fellow Christians, if we're separating parents from their children? How can we make the family great again if we're separating parents from their grandchildren? How can we make the family great again if we're dividing the family so that they can be sold on the market for contractors and people who exploit where others are hurting? It's time for our churches, and take this message back to your pastors and to clergy in your community. It's time for our churches to no longer be silent about the exploitation of children in this country.
Yes, sir.
It's time for our clergy to not be silent about the removal of children from their homes in this country. We have so much to say. Often clergy do about the issues that are going on in our community. And the theft of children from the home in America is tantamount to a political version of abortion. That's just what it is. And so for any faith person to stand silent or stand quietly by while children are being taken from their parents and their mothers and fathers, that makes them complicit, and it makes them pro-life. It makes them anti-life, and it makes them anti-family.
Amen.
If you're for taking children from the home, you are anti-family. And I have to say this, it's affecting everyone across the board. I know many of you are Republicans, some of you are Libertarians, some of you are Democrats like me. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is our children need people who are going to stand up and protect their right to live with their natural parents or their grandparents or whatever relative or person who is close to them that's going to love them and care for them. They shouldn't be denied that. There are so many children in the custody of the Arizona Department of Child Safety that they sleep on the floor of office buildings. Our children are sleeping on the floor of state office buildings when they have warm beds waiting for them, when many of them have several relatives who be willing to let them come and live and love and nurture them. We've got our children sleeping on the floor of government office buildings. So as I go, I challenge each of you to go back to your public policy makers, because that's not just happening in Arizona. Go back to your Congress people. Go back to your lawmakers, your governors, and tell them, Governor, legislative member of Congress, there are children who are sleeping on the floors of government buildings. Will you sleep on the floor of a government building? How many of you will sleep on the floor of your government office until the day that all of our children can sleep safely in a bed?
That's right.
And you will see for yourself who really cares about our children and who really is willing to do something to sacrifice for them and symbolize in a public way what they're going through. So I want you all, whether you're Christians or not, whether you're people of faith or not, to believe in this movement. And for those who do believe and who are Christians, please know that God is with you in this fight.
Amen.
And there's no more precious a constituency than his children, our children.
That's right.
That he stands with us. And that if you're one with God, let me say one with God.
One with God.
One with God.
One with God.
Always in the majority. How about that? How about that? So God bless the parents and families that couldn't be here today because they're working jobs. God bless them. Many of them wanted to be here, but they're working. God bless those parents that are afraid to travel because the state may take their children because of center issues or custody or guardianship issues. God bless those people. And God bless you all for representing the hundreds of thousands of people, of families that are being impacted by this and that are being terrorized by this. Yes. And God bless all of the children and the young adults and the older adults that had to go through this, who were sexually abused, who were physically abused, who were mentally abused, who were financially exploited, who were spiritually depleted because of this experience. God bless them all. Would you all pray with me? Almighty God, we come to you today asking you to be in the midst of your people, in the presence of your people. We come here, God, to a city, Washington, D.C., where people more and more feel that dreams and hopes come to die. But you brought us here to this Lincoln Memorial where once there stood a man who dared to dream and who had a dream for all of us and for all of our children. You brought us here to this place where hope springs eternal and where we find strength anew to fight for that which we believe in. We ask you, God, to be with us in the halls of the modern Caesars as we advocate for our children to have their right to be unified with their mothers and their fathers and their grandparents or their siblings or their extended family or friends. We ask you, God, to comfort every child that's in the custody of governments anywhere, local, federal government. We ask you, God, to be a shepherd and a comfort to them. We ask you, God, that wherever there is a child that is suffering because of abuses of Title IV funding or of CPS or of medical kidnapping, we ask you, wherever they are suffering, God, that they might hear and know from you that we are standing for them, that we are fighting for them, and that we are trying to make a way out of no way for them. I ask you, God, to bless everyone under the sound of my voice. Bless everyone. Give them strength. Give them audacity. Give them encouragement. Empower them, Lord. Give them a fire inside that burns for these children to be liberated from this situation.
Amen.
Give them the courage of their convictions. We must protest. Some may go to jail. Some might get sick. Some might be intimidated. Some might be retaliated against. But we want you to stand with them, God. stand with them and give them strength this day and every day until our children are brought home and are free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, they'll be free at last. Amen.
Amen.